Okay, good morning, world. How are we today? Monday morning. Okay, what I wanted to talk about this morning, something that has been on my mind lately, is learning how to be humble. And when you say that, like, you've done the work and you've gotten over things, and you're above things or whatever, right? Like, it's sort of like a claim to fame, isn't it? That people will say that they're over this, they're over that, but while people may not talk about a particular topic, of something that happened to them or in their life or whatever, anymore, does that mean that they've done the work and they're over it? Or does it rear its head in ugly ways in other parts of your life? I think that sometimes people think that they are over things that have, happened to them or in their life, or that they have grown, in such a way that things don't affect them the way that they used to. But then you look at them under a microscope, sort of thing, and they have, like, OCD type behaviors, can be controlling, maybe get upset about things that other people wouldn't get upset about. You know what I mean? Like, so while you might, like, say, that you're over this thing that happened to you in your life, perhaps you're not, because you display these traits, and these traits could very well be symptoms of what's it called? Like nervous system stress, nervous system overwhelm or overload. I think that's very common, especially in women, and mothers who are constantly, I would say, under nervous system stress from children, and women being the predominant caretakers of children. I think it comes more naturally to women to constantly worry about the safety and well-being of their children than fathers do. Like, there's all these sort of like joke videos, isn't there, on the internet as well, of like dads be out here just like tossing their newborn baby up into the air, not newborn, but you know what I mean, like tossing babies, small children, up into the air, and mums are like, oh my god, like, just dads don't seem to worry about safety as much, or they don't take it as serious, and so mothers, women are out here under constant, I would say, nervous system stress, and then at the same time, on a woman's life journey, she thinks she's doing the work. Not everyone goes to a counsellor or a psychologist to necessarily do the work either. A lot of people read self-help books, or watch self-help videos, meditate, exercise programs, even if it's just like regularly going for walks or runs, or you know, like bushwalks even, and being around nature, and having quiet time, you know, time to yourself, time to reflect on things that have happened, time to reflect on yourself, you know, space to grow, to develop. Because if you're sort of constantly as well just under the pump as a person and as a parent, then there's not really space and time, is there, for you to necessarily do the work or grow. And yeah, so I was also just thinking about humbleness in terms of letting it go. I think that letting it go is actually a much harder thing for people to do than we let on. You know, I think it is actually something, it's like a skill to be able to let things go. And it's not necessarily, you know, things that have happened to you by other people. It could be circumstances of the world that you're living in, the country you're living in, of, you know, I mean, there's innumerable situations we could be talking about. And, you know, I think that it's a very common thing that we do, us humans, is to have like justifiable anger towards, you know, situations or people. You know what I mean? Like I think that would be my hardest thing to overcome in my life, is justifiable anger. When you know that you know, someone else, or you know, did something wrong to you, when you know for a fact that you are the victim, and it's hard to let go of that title of being the victim, and you know, the justifiable anger that comes with that. You know, it's like being a winner. You know what I mean? Like, I won. I am the victim. Here's the proof. You know what I mean? And but it's not really a healthy way to live your life, though, is it? You know, you should be trying to live your life with a mindset that is obviously far more positive. You know, you should be trying to tell yourself that you're a winner, and putting more positive energy out into the world, not negative, because it's negative energy if you're clinging on to you know, the narrative of bad things that have happened to you throughout your life. Then you're clinging on to negative energy, and probably will attract more negative situations or people into your life. But if you tell yourself constantly that you're a winner and good things happen to me, and recognize your blessings, and be grateful for the good things in your life, and the lessons that you've learned and the wisdom that you've gained, then you would have more positive energy, wouldn't you? And you would attract to you more positive situations and people, you know, and your life would have more positive things happening. But I do think that letting it go is a skill that has to be learnt. And I think people claim to have let things go, including myself, you know, far more than they actually have let it go. I think that to like cut all ties to something that happened to you is a very, very difficult thing actually to do. And I think that if people actually sat down quietly and thought about it, I would, you know, bet that most people actually still have tethers to those negative stories, those negative situations that happened in their life, because they haven't actually fully let it go. And it probably shows up in your life in different ways that you might not even recognize yourself. Maybe a professional would recognize it, but you might not even realize that maybe you have, an aversion to this, or an inclination to this, or a habit of doing this because of that thing that happened, and that's your coping mechanism, or your survival instinct playing out, or it's your just something that you have adopted as a result. Sometimes it could even just be, again, your righteous, justifiable anger. That's very difficult to let go of. And like maybe if you actually sat down and really, really self-reflected and intentionally worked on cutting ties with things, and letting things go properly, maybe any negative symptoms in your life would also clear up, would also disappear. But yeah, I know it's a hard thing to actually really do, and I don't think it's necessarily either to do with big, bad, ugly things that have happened to you or in your life. It could be, just your family, maybe it's something like, like when you've got kids and, there's constantly like food wrappers, or, like banana, or something like that, just like left around, like mushed onto the couch, or texture on the wall, or just things that happen in a family home, that it's like, oh my gosh, like they know how to put things in the bin, but they don't, or they know not to draw on the walls, but they do, or nobody else ever helps out with this or that, or whatever. Like it's easy to sort of, even just in your day-to-day life, you can sort of get resentful towards people, including your family, and it could be in the workplace or whatever. You can get like kind of resentful towards people for things that they might do. And even that, even when you would tell yourself, well, it's because I'm right and they are doing the wrong thing, even that, you still have to try to practice letting it go, because there's no benefit coming from being right. There's no benefit coming from being justifiably upset about something. There's no benefit in holding on to any of these things, even when you know that you're right and they're wrong. There's no benefit. So you have to, even just on a daily basis, be very skilled at letting things go. Otherwise, things just build up and overwhelm you, and then you have a mental breakdown. So yeah, just food for thought about practicing being humble, practicing letting it go on a daily basis, and also in the grand scheme of your life, things that have happened, because holding on to anything, even when you know that you're right, is really not helpful. It's not helpful. And it will show up in negative ways in your life. So that is my 2 cents this morning. I hope you all had a good weekend, and thanks for watching, and I will see you all soon. Bye.